Good evening. Hi. Yeah, I just had a long chat with a very old friend and spent most of the day on Twitter looking at tweets about Lucy Letby case. And I say case, but it's her life, isn't it? She's in prison right now. She shouldn't be in prison, I don't think. I've engaged a bit. Well, I haven't. He hasn't engaged with me, but I've sort of tweeted at one of the main consultants that sort of accused her, Ravi Jayaram. I don't know if I went too far with the things I said. I just said that there had to be something wrong with the whole hospital and that those doctors have something to answer for subsequent to an appeal, and Lucy should be freed. I sent a letter to the prison today up in Durham, and I hope it gets there. I rang the prison in the morning and spoke to a guy. It was very helpful. This is the prison in Durham that Lucy is in. And he said, yeah, you can try writing a letter, you don't need the prisoner number necessarily. So I just sent a short letter just saying that there's quite a lot of people that I spoke for myself really. I said, I believe that you're innocent, and I believe there's a lot of and more people that believe that as well, and look after yourself under the circumstances, and I hope you're doing as well as you can do under the circumstances, and know that there are people out there that believe in you and believe that it was a miscarriage of justice. I don't know what it is. I wrote something on Facebook, is that it's just really, it's gripped, this situation kind of grips your mind that somebody could be or is completely innocent and can end up doing a whole life sentence because of this chain of action and reaction, and 8 other agencies getting involved: the police, the judiciary, the prosecution, all the panoply of the court. And it's all started from some thoughts in a few individuals' head without any hard evidence. It's all started from their thoughts in a context in which, if these figures are right, and I'm only going by them that I'm reading, is that, there's a massive spike in numbers of deaths in that unit, going from this average of 2 to 3 a year up to, allegedly, or from what I've read, 15 a year. So that there's this 31 figure over 2015 and 16, of which Lucy is convicted of 7 murders and only charged with 8. I say only, but I mean charged with 8. So outside of all the alleged criminal activity, there's a massive spike anyway. And it's like, well, why is that? Why is that? What's causing all that? Is there any curiosity about that in relation to the consultants, in relation to the unit, in relation to the hospital, in relation to the trust? Any curiosity about that? And there's this thing that I think was made quite explicit on the I'm forgetting all the names. I'm forgetting the names. I've got to get on the Dr. Scott McLachlan website. This idea that the court was, the jury was, and we are, as the public, expected to believe there is at one and the same time a serial killer at work and a massive spike in deaths at the same time, the cause of which hasn't been assessed, the cause of which hasn't been identified, the cause of which hasn't been investigated, and no conclusions are made about that. And so they've chosen a subset of the spike of deaths and attributed them to murder and intent, Obviously, if it's murder, it is intent. They've attributed that subset to a person, i.e. Lucy Letby, and all the other stuff is in shadow. All the other deaths there, the 23, 24 deaths, or even if you take away the average prior from 2014, 3 a year, there's still an excess of about 17, 18 deaths there. Caused by what? Caused by what? The understaffing, the incompetence of the doctors, possibly, to whatever degree. Big thing in the room, big elephant in the room, the water problems, the potential contamination of that, and the the bacteria that could have got into that whole environment. Something's just so staggeringly weird about this, that it just happened. No one saw Lucy doing anything wrong. You've got that Dr. Ravi guy saying he walks into a place where there's a baby in an incubator. I don't know exactly what the baby was in, but it's obviously there's lots of tubes and machines going on, and he sees that the oxygen input into the baby has become dislodged, and he's saying that she's just standing there. And has she not noticed, or is it that it's only just happened? But that's his story, that's his testimony. But I'm not sure about him in any way whatsoever. There are contradictions in what he's said, or in the court, or there are issues with it that people have remarked on already, and problems with that. I'm just really hoping that Peter Hyatt does some kind of statement analysis on him in terms of his TV interviews, particularly in terms of that anecdote. An anecdote's too light a word, but that kind of story he tells about going in there and seeing Lucy standing by this, where the baby, the very young baby, is lying and apparently not doing what she should be doing because of the low oxygen levels, and him being surprised at that. So, but is that what happened? Who knows what happened? That was his perception, you know. Who knows why that tube became dislodged, you know. He at one and the same time acknowledged that it could become dislodged because of a baby moving around, and then said, I think I said this on the other video, it's bothered me, this contradiction, and then said it explicitly and conclusively that the only way it could have become dislodged is that Lucy deliberately did it as an act of sabotage, but you didn't see that happen. There's just so much supposition, there's so much speculation. It's a case built out of speculation. It's a case built out of speculation and theory after the event, all the stuff about the insulin, and people are beginning to pick away at that, how Dewey Evans, the prosecution expert's theories aren't necessarily holding water, or they are challengeable, but the problem was the defence didn't have any witnesses, any expert witnesses of their own to challenge Dewey Evans directly. And that's what's got to be, they've got to have that in the appeal, haven't they? They've got to have that. Because if anything, that's what's swayed the jury, who feel, well, even if they felt, I don't know if she did it, but this expert's saying that's the only way it could have happened, which is the same modus operandi that the way it happened in the Sally Clark case with Professor Roy Meadow, where he said is that there's a 1 in 76 million chance that you didn't do this. In other words, the jury's going to hear that and say, well, yeah, the expert said and she's done it, and that's why they found guilty. But it was overturned later on, and his expertise was found to be severely wanting, you know, a complete load of crap, in other words. This Meadow I'm talking about, Professor Roy Meadow. Sally Clark case. It's just tragic case. How that alleged, well, obviously not a somebody should never been in the court as an expert, that ruined her life and got her sent down for murder of her own children, which she hadn't done. And then she obviously got out on a retrial and appeal, and then Meadow. But the damage was done. The damage was done to her life, on top of losing her children. Got to be really careful with these so-called experts, and I'm saying this in the context of, I don't necessarily want to go too far off the subject here, but we've had a few years of being advised by quote-unquote experts to take substances into our body that have clearly harmed millions of people across the world and killed, how many, God, we don't know, a huge amount actually, probably across the world, and harmed many millions more. So I don't know, I don't want to go off the subject too much, because that's probably for another video if I ever make it. But anyway, God, it's just, I've noticed this with people on Twitter and talking about this situation with Lucy Letby, that people they're gripped by this, and they're emotionally gripped by it. Not that the emotion clouds their reasoning, they just want to get to the truth. Somebody put a tweet up, I can't remember who it was, who just, well, we just want the truth, don't we? And that is it, that is the case. People are hungry for the truth about this, but not just this, for about everything, you know. For all the scams and hypnosis, that hypnotic events that are befalling us, one after the other. We're hungry for some truth and to cut through all that. It's just, anyway, that's that. Take care. Bye bye. Cheers.